What's up, lit lovers? Welcome to StormCrows TV, the channel where two lit chicks talk about all things reading and writing. I'm Allegra.
And I'm Emily.
Today we're continuing the read-along of A Game of Thrones by George R. R. Martin. Tyrion 4, Arya 3, Ned 8. Then we're going to be doing a separate part 2, which will be Cat 6, Eddard 9, Dany 4. Thank the YouTube algorithms for being really weird.
If you're just joining us, be sure to check out our previous read-along videos. Links are down in the description. Be sure to click on them. They're real fun. Go check them out.
So, Emily, would you like to start us with the noob summary for Tyrion 4?
Yes, actually I was really excited about Tyrion, and he did not disappoint. Tyrion tries to outmaneuver Catelyn Stark, who is taking him to the Vale and not to Winterfell, which sucks because it's really hard to anticipate literally any dumb idea a Stark follows through with. He tries to reason with the idiot, but, well, you'd have an easier time finding Benjen at this point. Fortunately, nothing goes wrong on the road. Well, unless you count that one time they got attacked, some people got killed. And yeah, Catelyn ends up giving Tyrion an axe because keeping prisoners is hard, guys.
In her defense, they were almost all getting murdered by clansmen. So.
But why?
Why what?
Why were they in the position to be murdered by clansmen?
Because they went on the road to the Vale, and the road to the Vale is dangerous.
And why were they on the road to the Vale?
Because it sounded like a great idea at that time. Gosh.
To who? Who does that sound like a good idea to?
Okay, so like it was clever to be like, yes, we are very much going to Winterfell, and then going the ridiculous, most stupid place to possibly go. But I don't think Kat understood the gravity of getting to the Vale. She's never been to the Vale before, and I think the characters who have been to the Vale before were not prepared for the level of negligence.
Oh, negligence, that works.
By Lysa, because when Jon Arryn was alive, he tried to keep the mountain clans at bay, and Lysa's just been like, do whatever, I don't want that road anymore. Even though that's probably screwing up a lot of trade, but it's fine.
Everyone we're meeting is crazy as shit. Or stupid.
Well, I mean, you meet Bronn. Bronn's not stupid. He's also not crazy. But I guess we don't get to talk to Bronn a lot yet.
I don't know him, but I like him. I do appreciate that Tyrion can literally make a friend anywhere he goes. So, like, he's a captive, but he's winning over the people who are following Catelyn. He's far more charismatic. And they're like, hey, we like this little dwarf. So at first it was like, we're going to hit him for you. And now it's like, haha, we're going to make jokes with you and ride in the back with you. And we're so cool that you have an axe. It's fine. And it's funny because you can tell Catelyn's jealous. But she can't do shit because she's got the personality of wet cardboard.
You notice how politically minded Tyrion is, because he counts those who didn't answer Cat and she doesn't seem to have thought about how many people didn't answer. But when he counts those who didn't answer Cat, you get the two Freys who stood up, but then their captain didn't move, so they sat back down, which is a pretty good foreshadowing of maybe not everyone in the Riverlands is pro-Tully.
And I do like that perspective, because when you were reading Catelyn, when she arranged all that to happen, it sounded like this just really dire situation. There was no way Tyrion was going to come out the other end. But from Tyrion's perspective, you realize, like, oh, okay, it wasn't as dire as it sounded. I mean, it's not great, but it's not polarized. He does reiterate the point I made in the last video, where it's like he knows that Tywin's not someone who loves him, and he does try to use that to his advantage, like you kidnapped the wrong Lannister. You know, you're hoping for some sort of reaction. He nails it on the head, what I was saying to you. It doesn't matter if Tyrion's well-liked. He's still a Lannister. He still has the Lannister blood. So you're going to end up pissing off his father and Cersei. Much as Cersei hates Tyrion, it's a slap in her face.
I love when he was like, I never bet against family, when Cat laid up the charges against him. You get the foreshadowing because they eat Tyrion's horse, and Tyrion's upset about it because the horse came from Jaime. And you get that brotherly love foreshadow, and then, yeah, of course he would bet against Jaime.
Well, it also brings to mind, she never thought to question Littlefinger. You have Tyrion going, he has told everyone who will listen that he took your maidenhead. She's like, no, he'd never say that. He had a pure love. When you spurn a lover, male or female, they're not going to be singing your praises.
She seems to have decided what she decided was real, and then just accepts no substitutes. I have chosen this thing to be true. and completely disregarded all other information.
It's a good thing no one like that exists in real life.
Nobody.
I do like, though, that you kind of see she's getting shaken. Like, she's questioning it, cogs are turning. To give her a little bit of a benefit, because I know you don't expect that from me, I do like that she's not completely deaf to it. She doesn't want to believe it. She's got this bias. That's normal, I guess. Can't fault her for that. But it could be worse.
I actually really did like the fight scenes in this.
The dwarf with the axe, though, I mean, it's been played out. Even Dragon Age gave the dwarf a different weapon.
You'd have to hand him what would be available, and none of those swords would work for him. And if you give him a dagger, you're just asking someone to kill him.
Well, maybe they shouldn't have been on the road in the first place. We've circled back.
So, speaking of being places you shouldn't be, how about talking about Arya, who specializes in that?
Alright, so the Arya summary can basically just be this. Arya is a girl, damn it. And apparently she is actually feral now. Like, we joked about it, but now she really is. And what is it about Starks finding out information because the little shit kids are doing shit they're not supposed to do in places they shouldn't be? Great job not getting pushed off a tower, though, so, props to you. But too bad about Daddy not believing you because you're a kid, and nobody's going to take you seriously anyway.
I get not believing the 9-year-old when she's obviously trying to talk her way out of being in serious trouble, but when the things she said, like, then get echoed 10 minutes later, like, maybe call her back and be like, so what was it you were making up again?
Also, Arya doesn't strike me as the imaginative one. She's more of a, I want swords, but to make up stories, that's not her area of expertise. Sansa's the one who lives in the fairy tale. Even if I don't believe children, I'd be like, well, this goes against everything I know about you.
And I know it's weird when she's talking about walking around and the monsters, but Ned Stark was in the Red Keep at Aerys's downfall when all of those dragon skulls were in the throne room. So, like, he knows they exist, and there really are dragon monster jaws laying around somewhere.
No, because for plot purposes, he has to forget about all that. It's like, I love how Martin characterizes, and I love his dialogue, and I love how he does exposition, because so many people fail at that. But I do feel like the weakness here is the entire Stark family, because there's so much stupidity that can't be explained unless you say, but it works for the plot.
I mean, you do have people who just are very thick-skulled. Why are two of them married to one another?
And why is one of them king? Like,
No,
again,
I get why Robert's useless. Like, we can talk about him in another Ned chapter.
A lot of Ned chapters. Sorry, go ahead.
Hey, we're like halfway done with Ned, so. Also, to everyone who has read this series multiple times, that cat Arya is chasing. I'm never gonna be over the black cat. And I can't tell M why I'm not over the black cat yet, but I'm really not. The black cat has a horrible story. That's all I'm gonna say.
It has to be, because I've never seen you so emotional.
Speaking of the cat and the dragon jaws and the fact that she goes through the dragon's jaw and into a door, literally through the dragon's mouth, like, who arranged the skull holding? That had to be intentional, right? But then you find, woohoo, Blackfires and Illyrio. By the way, the first time I read these books, I did not realize it was Magister Illyrio. I had to go back and think about it.
It took me, I had to reread it a couple times because I was like, is one of these Varys? When I went back and reread it and they talked about like golden hair, I'm like, oh, it's Illyrio. So yeah. I did catch it.
And what they talk about is just so wild. They're trying to delay the Lannister-Stark war. Like, they know one's coming. How could you not? They discuss the dead hands, so they definitely know something about what happened with Jon Arryn. They discuss wanting Drogo to attack, but needing time and delay tactics because they know that Drogo won't move until after Vaes Dothrak. Also, the 50 more birds that Varys needs, meaning 50 more spies.
I'm really digging Varys. I know in the last video we made, I was like, I'm ambivalent. I haven't made up my mind. You know, we didn't really see a lot of him, but I'm a fan. I like him. Even if he is a slimy little bastard, I still like him.
Oh, he's totes slimy, but I respect his, like, ingenuity and longevity. Like, Somehow he has survived as Master of Whispers in the Westeros for 20 years now. Good job. Anything you've discussed with Arya, aside from showing up in ratty boys' clothes and not getting recognized, kind of, again, bringing home the point that I made in the Sansa chapter where everyone recognizes the clothes of the nobility. And if you're in normal peasant clothes, they just think, oh, normal peasant. It's not till she opens her mouth and talks like a lady, and with that stark, like, in-your-face arrogance, they go and send someone to see who she is.
I do like at this point, she's basically bowled over, pushed, or harmed each of the Baratheon kids. She knowingly and willingly hurt Joffrey for good reason. Not gonna fault her for that, but now it's like you're gonna push over Tommen and barrel through Marcella because, oh crap, I remember the last time I tangled with the Lannisters. How can this possibly go wrong? Well, here I go. Let's try to do that again.
Let's go. They don't recognize me. I'm gonna use it.
I do appreciate that she's at least kind of thinking about those consequences and, oh, how do I avoid this? And she did it in a way that you would expect a child to.
And she has learned that if she's dressed not the part, people won't think she's Arya. So that's a freedom that she's discovered. Probably for the worst. Again, where the babysitters? Like, I know she was chasing cats for Syrio, but where is the babysitter?
She's crying and praying for her return, and I think we now know the problem. Because
fire the septa.
They fire her, and then at the same time, it's like, Ned, get after her. Don't be, oh, you shouldn't be doing that, but you're so funny. Like, no, be a fucking father.
He's the epitome of the dad that looks really tough and can go out and yell at his soldiers and lead a war. Hand him 2 girls, and he's like, I'm sorry, honey. I didn't mean to make you upset. Just go think about what you did now.
I just can't with the Starks.
Speaking of a Stark, let's get to Ned.
So, King Robert wants to kill another baby. And most of the council thinks this is a good idea, except for Barristan Selmy, who is a badass and I love him, and of course, Ned. Because sometimes honor is better than sense. But he does show us that quitting with dramatic flair looked pretty cool even back in medieval times. So there's that. Probably should hurry up and, I don't know, get the fuck back home instead of accepting Littlefinger's invite to a brothel. But you know what they say about curiosity, right? Now I feel really bad because we all know it kills the cat and you're very choked up about this cat. I didn't know when I wrote the
It's fine. Ned just now realizing Bobby B sucks and expecting him to object to killing babies now? You literally broke up with him during the rebellion over him murdering babies.
He does have a good point, though, of what makes us better than the Targaryens if this is what we're going to do. But I guess not.
Literally nothing makes them better than the Targaryens. This is when you get the for sure reveal about Jorah Deaths being a spy. I liked the dropping that Jon Arryn didn't allow Dany and Viserys to be killed. Like, he'd also had enough of killing Targaryen children. But that kind of begs the question, because Jon Arryn had a ton of Targaryen sympathizers in the Vale. There was a major conflict in the Vale when he rose against House Targaryen. You know, how much of that was appeasement?
I'd say 90%. Because Jon Arryn was not an idiot, it sounds like. It goes back to Ned being willfully blind. And it's the same problem Catelyn has. You don't want to accept information that goes against your bias. And Ned has been trying so hard to grasp at the straws of Robb and I and the good old days and the war. And we brought an end to tyranny. And hey, look over there, Robb's actually a terrible person.
Oh, and this is the first big mention we got the Faceless Men and how creepy, scary, and expensive they are. I love Littlefinger's line about, we're already broke, and if it costs enough to build an army to kill just a merchant. And how does he know how much it costs, by the way? But how much would it cost for a princess?
And it's a good argument, but I hadn't thought about it the way you just posited.
It's almost like he's looked them up before.
If I didn't know better, I would say this is overkill, but I know better because I've seen previews of the show. From a ignorant standpoint, you can't see the future, that sort of thing. Yeah, this sounds really ridiculous. You're going to risk the wrath first of Khal Drogo. It's like you're not just killing a Targaryen baby, you're killing the Khal's child.
And his wife, and the Fraki customs seem to be a little insistent about Khaleesi.
Ignoring, okay, maybe the Khal doesn't care about Daenerys. They don't know. I mean, they should because of Jorah, but if they don't think that the Khal cares that much, she's still potentially carrying the next Khal.
And, she's a 14-year-old having a baby. Why don't you just wait and see if baby dies in childbirth? Because it's the Middle Ages and that happened a lot.
Maybe give it a year or two. It's not like an infant can press for the throne.
save up for that faceless man later, you know?
Yeah.
Put on a savings plan. Do they have layaway?
Stop holding tournaments.
Well, don't be silly. We can't just stop holding tournaments.
Well, the last one went so well.
That's why you have to hold more. We're out of practice. We didn't hold one for like 2 whole weeks.
I will slap you.
So they have the big romance breakup. Ned storms out. He gets back and he's like, that's it, we're leaving. I'm packing up the girls. We're heading home. We're going to get a ship. And then Littlefinger shows up with this like magical intel he could have given him at any point.
It's almost like he's trying to delay you, but like, I don't know. I'm just, who am I?
Look, Ned, you're really good at tactics. Why can't you make tactics for people and not just armies?
Plot.
I know. I kind of love the use with Ned. Kind of like the camera goes in and out, so like you can see their thoughts. Nope, you can't now. He used the not so close narration to kind of build suspense for the audience. Since you can't see their every thought, you don't know everything. Ned, with his damn promises to Lyanna specifically, but Kat and Dany in this chunk also really highlight it. But that lets Martin have all these secrets that can get teased out, or that he can plot spackle later, depending on.
Another thing I really liked, and he used Littlefinger to do it, is to show to succeed in politics, you kind of have to not necessarily use the straightest line from point A to B.
Yes.
And so, like, Littlefinger going, I saved her life basically by suggesting we use a normal assassin because they'll never succeed.
We know that Khaleesi's are hella protected. The chances of a normal dude getting to her are nil.
When you talk about tactics, Littlefinger is really good at the people tactics. And for someone who's like, you need to know the men who follow you and you need to build this rapport, and he's a great leader. If you look at all the events before the book, where did he forget how to deal with certain people? Especially this guy who is basically his brother. Like, you should know him better than anyone because you grew up with him. And yes, he's changed. But there's a lot of things that you say, oh yeah, that's how he was before. And he always threw a tantrum and he was always stubborn. How did you forget how to deal with him?
Or is it that you can't use the tactics you used last time because now he's king and you can't just punch him?
But that doesn't really fly with me either because he's talking to him like he's not king. Like, he's the only one standing up going, you're wrong, you're wrong. So he's using that history to get away with things and to say things that the others are too scared to say, but it's not smart to say it.
It's that balance between talking to your friend and talking to the king, and they're the same person. And Ned just being bad at politics.
And people.
Yeah, he's good at being lord, and he's good at leading an army. He's good at stuff he's trained to do, but yeah, off the cuff, he doesn't seem to work well. Speaking of not working great off the cuff, do you want to move on to Catelyn?
So we're going to do that in part 2. So if you would go ahead, hit like and subscribe, you'll get notifications when we put that up. It shouldn't be very long. I mean, we're just going to keep recording. But yeah, thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next video.